Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I haven't done a video in a while because I haven't had anything to talk about in a while. I've never said that before in my life. I always have something to talk about. But today I wanted to talk about some of the rumors and I guess what has officially been said as well in terms of Disney reopening. A lot of things have been said and people are losing their minds. So if you want to hear what is rumor and what has officially been announced by Disney, then just keep watching. Okay, so first I wanted to do a little bit of a history background, if you will, on Disney CEO because that is kind of important here. So I have my notes because I was never going to remember these dates. Bob Iger was the Disney chairman and CEO, and initially his contract went through June 30th of 2018. Back in March of 2017, his contract was extended through July 2nd, 2019. It was also announced that he would then be considered a consultant for the following 3 years after 2019. When December of 2017 came, his contract was extended through 2021. Move forward to April of 2019, and it was announced that when Bob Iger, that he would leave when his contract expired in 2021. And then move forward to February 25th of 2020, and he stepped down, and it seemed kind of sudden to everybody else because it was expected at that time that he would fulfill his contract through 2021. But February 25th, 2020, he stepped down. The word was that he thought it was a good time. He was very involved with the development of Shanghai Disney. And he felt it was a good time, I guess. February 25th, 2020, Bob Iger stepped down and Bob Chapek, okay, that's kind of funny. He is officially called Bob C within the Disney company, and Bob Iger is called Bob. So we'll go with it. So Bob C was moved into the CEO position. Now, that lasted for a total of about a month because we have been going through the COVID-19 pandemic, and moved to April of 2020, and Bob Iger kind of snuck back in and he resumed operational duties as what they're calling the executive chairman, just to get through this COVID pandemic. And what the executive chairman does, apparently, is overseeing the creative side of the company. No idea what that means, but that is what he's doing. So Bob C moved in as CEO, and at that same time, he was also appointed to the board of directors. So that's where they're at currently. They both work in very upper management for Disney. So as I talked about in the last video, Disney shut down their parks. They initially were going to pay their employees for as long as possible. Nobody had any idea how long they were going to stay closed, including Disney, because they just said indefinitely. So no idea when it will open again. So Disney was able to pay their employees through April 19th, at which time they had to furlough them. But they were going to continue with their benefits. So they weren't getting paid, but they were going to continue to get insurance if they were getting it to begin with. So with all of the rumors and news that has been released regarding the pandemic in Disney World, I'm going to get into some of the rumors with the parks, but one rumor that I read when I was doing research for this video was that the reason Bob Iger suddenly, which seemed sudden to us, suddenly stepped down was because he oversaw something happening with the coronavirus pandemic. Because like I said, he was very involved with the opening of Shanghai Disney, and coronavirus originated in China. So he had made a bunch of trips over to China, and they were infected first before it spread to the rest of the world. So there were some rumors that he had seen what was happening there and didn't want to deal with it in terms of coming to the rest of the world, I guess. Unclear. He just said it was a good time because Shanghai Disney was officially open and everything was up and running there. So That was a rumor, and that is what he had to say about it. Now, everybody has lost their minds. Why has everybody lost their minds? Because of the internet. Somebody said out on the internet, now we'll get into who, that Disney is not going to be opening until 2021. Lost their minds. People have lost their minds. So, who said this? John, don't know how you pronounce his last name, Hodulik, Hodulik, not sure. He is an analyst for UBS. What is UBS? The Union Bank of Switzerland. Why do we care? I have no idea. This guy who works for the Union Bank of Switzerland, allegedly he actually is pretty legitimate at his job, from what I've read, but he does not work for Disney. He does not speak for Disney. This was his opinion based on profitability. And what he said is that Disney may not be able to open until 2021 due to profitability being impaired. So if they opened, what would be the regulations as far as how many people would be allowed to go and how many people would go, and would the operating costs be offset by profits? So he said that everybody took this to be gospel. Disney's for sure not opening until 2021. But it turned out it was this analyst for the Union Bank of Switzerland. As part of that, some people also think he was, I hate to use the word fear-mongering because that's kind of, that term has been used to death lately. But some people said that he was just trying to manipulate the stock so that the price would work in his favor. Playing the stock market, I guess. So this analyst, focusing on profitability, said Disney would not be opening until 2021. So that's where that rumor came from. It had nothing to do with Disney. Disney has not endorsed that. He's not a spokesperson for Disney, nothing like that. Now, a JP Morgan analyst, Alexa Quadrani, her prediction was that they would open June 1st. So take that with a grain of salt. So we have people all over the board. June 1st seems more likely, or now Disney did not endorse that either. She doesn't work for Disney either. But if you go on Disney's website, if you call Disney, the earliest date they will allow you to book a room is June 1st. That's not to say it's not going to get canceled. Remember, people had trips planned for March and April and May that had to get canceled when Disney closed. But that is the earliest they are thinking they could reasonably be open. Also keep in mind that for a while at Disney World, the parks were closed, but the resorts remained open. So it is also, I mean, I think at this point anything's possible because this has never happened before, but keep in mind it is also possible that the hotels might open and the parks may not. So I'm kind of having that in the back of my mind for my summer trip as well, that is a possibility. And what will we do if the hotels are open but the parks are closed? Will we go? There are a lot of pieces to the puzzle of what has to happen in order for Disney to reopen. So we have federal guidelines, we have World Health Organization and Centers for Disease Control suggestions, I don't want to say requirements, but suggestions, guidelines, federal requirements, state requirements, county requirements, there's all of that. So right now it's kind of up to all of the states, and for Disney World, that is the state of Florida. And the governor of Florida is Ron DeSantis, and he has been talking about what has to happen in order for things to open in his state. Now, if you have been living under a rock, or if you're not in the United States, you may not have heard this, but Florida was one of the last to close and one of the first to open in terms of beaches, because people there really needed their beaches. And I feel ya, because in Wisconsin, we have like 3 days a year where we can go out and be in the sun, but if we can handle being inside, so can you. So you'll survive. But they had a lot of people outside. This caused a lot of outrage in terms of they're not social distancing and this isn't necessary for beaches to be open in Florida, and so on and so forth. So he's talking about how do we reopen the economy, how do we reopen the beaches and do those things safely. And I know what you're all watching this video for is when will Gatorland reopen? We recently found out that they do have an annual pass if you are interested. Annual pass to Gatorland. So what has Ron DeSantis said about his plans for reopening the state of Florida? He's announced some new guidelines, expectations, that kind of thing. Theme parks. They're expecting the capacity at first to be 25 to 50%. Now, indoor restaurants, they were saying 25% capacity with the social distancing guidelines of tables 6 feet apart. And outdoor dining, you can have more people, but still have people 6 feet apart. Something to note about the capacity is 20% of Disney World's attendees are international guests. And you would expect international guests to resume, you'd expect people to resume international travel later than domestic travel. You're sitting on a plane, stuck in a tiny recirculated air environment for longer, it costs more, the economy's down, all those things. So keep that in mind. 20% of people that go to Disney World are from outside of the United States. I'm not sure what percentage of those are from South America and Canada. I would guess most, but you would expect those people to be lower in numbers. Additionally, even if you are domestic, if you're living in the United States, those numbers are going to be down as well. Regardless of park capacities, fewer people are going to want to go to Disney World due to, I'm scared to travel because of the coronavirus. There is not a vaccine. There is not an official cure. And funds. A lot of people have lost their jobs or are just planning for, hey, we don't know how long this is going to last. I'm not getting paid, or I'm only getting paid like half pay right now, so I can't afford something extravagant like a trip to Disney World that's not necessary. So as far as, are they going to have to limit the numbers, or are people going to be self-limiting? I'm not sure. But the capacity of 50%, that number was thrown out. There's also talked about measuring, having tape masking in the queues 6 feet apart so that people are not crammed in there. I have a feeling the next couple of times I go to Disney World, we will not hear the phrase fill in all available space, which is kind of nice because, or move all the way down to the end of the row. We're not going to hear that. We're not going to hear that for a while. They're going to try and spread people out as much as possible, which is good for right now. But that's what needs to happen. Increased sanitization. That is another thing that they've talked about. Cast members will be wiping down commonly touched surfaces more frequently. Staff over 65 may be encouraged to stay home or have the option to stay home. All workers wearing face masks. Now, this again was coming from Ron DeSantis. I don't know what that's going to do for Disney. Is that going to kill some of the magic, having all the workers wear face masks? I'm not sure. Are they going to possibly require guests to wear face masks? Are they going to allow guests to wear face masks? I can't imagine they're going to prohibit it. Typically, in terms of costumes, when Disney allows, on the occasions Disney allows adults to wear costumes, your face can't be covered. Now, this is different. You're not wearing a Grim Reaper mask. I feel confident in saying they're not going to allow that. But wearing a medical style mask, I'm not necessarily saying hospital medical grade, but a medical style mask, I think is different. And I would expect that not only would they allow it, but they would encourage it. I don't know that they can go so far as to reasonably require it. I mean, technically could they? Yes, but could they reasonably require it? I don't know. It gets very, very hot in Florida. If they're opening in June, July, or August, wearing a face mask seems like there could be a lot of heat issues there, but we'll see. Disney, ironically, I should mention, Disney's now selling face masks on shopdisney.com, so you can get them. They come in different sizes. I think it's a set of 3 or 4 masks if you want to get those, but all of the masks in one set have to be the same size. But they're kind of fun. If you're sick of wearing the same boring mask, you can try those out. What else have they said? They have also mentioned hand sanitizer at the entrances and turnstiles and a temperature check for all workers as they're starting the beginning of their shift. Again, Ron DeSantis, not Disney. These were some of the guidelines that we are expecting to come out of this coronavirus pandemic as the state of Florida starts to open. Now, I do want to say about the temperatures. Let me get my computer. Okay, so in terms of the temperatures, what Bob Iger did say, and I'm quoting directly, reading from Florida Today here, in an interview with Barron's, the Disney chairman and former CEO explained that in order for things to return to some semblance of normal, people will have to feel safe. He went on to say, some of that could come in the form of Okay, I'm going to start that over. Some of that could come in the form ultimately of a vaccine, but in the absence of that, it could come from basically more scrutiny, more restrictions. Just as we now do bag checks for everybody that goes into our parks, it could be that at some point we add a component of that takes people's temperatures, as of for instance. He also added that he and the team at Disney are very carefully studying China's actions in terms of the country's return to normalcy. So in terms of temperature checks, I wanted to mention a couple of things about that. I have said a couple of times, I work in healthcare, I work in a lab, I am a medical laboratory scientist, so the people that are actually running the coronavirus test, those are people with my job title. We're not currently running them at my facility, but I could if I worked at a facility that had the instrument to run it. So shout out to all of the med techs, medical laboratory scientists, whatever you want to call it out there. But because I work in healthcare, I have that job part-time in addition to my Disney selling job part-time. I'm considered an essential employee. I'm going in to work. And because of that, we have a lot of restrictions. Working in healthcare, we have a cancer center at my building, so we have a lot of people that are immunocompromised. When we walk in, we have to have our temperature checked, and we have to be asked this list of questions every day regarding our symptoms. And then we're given a mask. The temperature, the first day they did it, they took our temperature under the tongue, and then we went on with our day. Keeping in mind, this started in March. That happened one day. And when you put the temperature under the tongue, everyone has a new sleeve, right? They pitch the sleeve for the next person. You're not going to reuse them. Now, what they do is they have this thermometer that I've never seen one like it before. It's not like the little gun thing that you just like laser point at your head. They scan around your forehead and then down along the side of your neck, because they then like sanitize it with an alcohol wipe and they can reuse it. So there's less waste, less cost associated, less waste. You're not throwing away all those little thermometer sleeves. The problem with that, this started in March. March in Wisconsin is very cold and very, very windy. So when we were walking into the building, our temperatures were falsely low because of the wind blowing on our foreheads. So we would have people where their temperature was reading at 95 or 96 degrees, and they said, we know that's not accurate, so now you have to sit here for 2 minutes for your body temperature to regulate, and then we'll recheck it. I've asked a doctor, I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me, because what if somebody is falsely low into the normal range, meaning they normally had a fever? And he's like, well, that wouldn't happen because your core temperature, I don't know, I don't understand it. Don't ask me. But this was an issue because it was falsely low because of the weather. Now, my concern is what's going to happen in Disney in June, July, and August. I would guess this is the type of temperature check they would have to take, again, because of the waste. It's not reasonable to expect them to take the temperature under the tongue for every single person. Think how many of those sleeves, thermometer sleeves, that would require. That would be a lot of them. But if you are standing in the hot Florida sun and it's 110 degrees, beating on your forehead, it's going to be falsely high and it's going to look like you have a fever. So what are they going to do after that? Are they going to try the temperature on your forehead? And if that's high, then they'll try under the tongue? Not clear. Let's hope they don't go to rectal temperatures. But that is all of the news you can use on Disney right now. That's all they've announced. The 2021 business is just a rumor. It was from a Switzerland bank analyst. Due to profitability, that had nothing to do with Disney. That was not officially announced by Disney or approved by Disney or any of that. So everybody can calm down about that. If I get any more news as far as when they are officially opening, I will definitely let you know. Oh, I should mention, in terms of cruises, depending on where the cruises are departing from, they have been delayed further into summer. So we would expect cruises to we would expect Disney parks to open sooner than Disney cruise ships, because you're all kind of stuck in one spot on a cruise ship, obviously. So keep that in mind as well. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. It wasn't super upbeat or happy, but unfortunately that is the state that we're in right now. So everybody stay healthy, wash your hands, wear a mask, stay inside, and hopefully we will be over this sooner rather than later. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye, guys.